Welcome to the Overachieving Shit Show. Imagine you've been kicking ass day after day. You're knocking out that to-do list, and then it's Monday morning, and you're looking at that door to your office or walking up the steps, and you're just looking at it like you're about to climb Mount Everest. Like, here we go again. Do I walk in and do all the things that I have planned, or do I just say, fuck it, and drive off somewhere, go live in a cabin somewhere? You might be experiencing some burnout. I am Dr. Kate Rodriguez, and I will let you know that burnout and the shit show behind all the achievements is very normal, and it's very common for a lot of people. So what is the overachieving shit show? An overachieving shit show is somebody who can get all kinds of things done and is very high functioning on the outside, but sometimes it's hard to cope on the inside. You might be somebody who is seen as very competent, very successful, and having your shit together, but on the inside, you feel like you can never tackle a full to-do list. You feel like you never know where your stuff is. You have a room that you can never clean up. You have a car that's always a mess. Some of it, none of it. You just often feel like inside, nothing is always perfect. People ask you, how do you have it all together? And you're like, I don't fucking know. You might be an overachieving shit show like me. Welcome. There's many of us. It's a community. So today we're talking about why your competence actually makes you burn out worse and not better. There's many times where people deal with imposter syndrome, burnout, and many other issues that can lead to feeling like a total and absolute shit show. I want everyone to remember that there's stress and there's burnout. Okay, so you can have stress, and being acute stress, you might function very well under stress. I know I do. I know we have some procrastinators out there who probably do some of their best work under pressure in a certain amount of stress. If I try to write a report a month ahead of time, it's not good. It's kind of crap, to be honest. If I do it the day before, or even the day of, it's something about that stress and that last minute deadline makes me create some works of art, some genius, and I don't know why. Now that I'm studying more about stress and the differences, now I'm starting to understand. I would like you to understand too, that some stress is good. But it's when it's chronic that we lead it to burnout. When we start to lean heavier on the shit show, not so much on the overachieving. And so we really need to learn how to recognize burnout. And that is what this podcast is going to be about. I want to have people from different walks of life, different jobs, different industries, to be able to explain how burnout shows up in them, because it doesn't show up the same for all of us. I can sit here and give you examples all day long, but I want people to be able to hear it from others so you know that you are not alone. So how do you explain it? How is that intense feeling to know that you have been stressed out for so long that you finally reach the point of utter burnout? Well, I'll let you know it's excessive stress. It's prolonged stress. It's when you keep feeling like you just can't catch up. You can't get it together. And it often makes you feel like you aren't doing enough, right? My nervous system is completely overloaded. And it's a state of not just emotional stress, but it's also physical and mental exhaustion. You need to understand that it's not a personal failure. A lot of people get there, and a lot of people feel this, and there is a way out, but it's not going to be quick. You can't just go home and take a nap or take one weekend off and feel like, okay, I didn't work all weekend, so my burnout's gone. It took you a long time to get burnt out. It's going to take you a while to recover. And it's going to take life changes and different habits and rituals to be able to get you out of it. So it's not just a mani-pedi or a bubble bath This is setting boundaries with yourself and with others. This is learning how to say no to the extra stuff. This is about surrounding yourself with people who light you up and don't drain you. There's a lot of different parts to this, but I don't want this to be something that overwhelms you. I don't want it to be another thing on your to-do list like food prepping or something like that. This is just something that you figure out and you learn how to change in yourself. One of the things that I think a lot of the people that I've talked to about being overachieving shit shows have told me is that they are always the reliable one. They're always the one that everybody can call for help. They're the ones who everybody can call if they need an ear or a shoulder to cry on. They're the ones who are planning the funerals and the birthday parties and solving people's problems. They're the strong one, right? So a lot of us are that strong one of their family or their groups of friends, and it can be exhausting. You get it all together, yes, but at the same time, it can be really tough on your psyche. So if you're the reliable one, you're the one who makes all the decisions. Maybe you're the parent at home who deals with everybody's emotions, makes sure everybody's fed, always talks to the teacher. That can be enough of feeling like, man, sometimes I just want somebody else to take care of me, right? You might get burnt out to where you're just like, I don't care. You can eat fast food every day and it's not going to bother me. You'll have different signs. Everybody needs to identify their own, I'm going to call them shit show signs. It could be also your burnout signs. So for me, I turn mean. I'm not usually a mean person, but I will get very irritable. I'll get kind of snappy. I won't have as much empathy in my personal life. I am a counselor, and so I listen to a lot of traumas, a lot of sad stories throughout my practice, throughout my day. And then in my personal life, when I feel like I'm starting to get burnt out, it's almost like I don't care about the small stuff. And I might have somebody talking to me about some school mom drama, and I'm internally rolling my eyes. I'm probably making a face that's like, I don't care, or I feel like what they're talking about is stupid. And that's not the usual me. I don't usually compare one person's story or drama to another. But that's when I start realizing like, okay, you need to take a step back. Like you need to chill out and take something off your plate because you don't care. A good example of this that I use is one time my husband, who's a bar owner, he owns an Irish pub in town. He was coming to me and he was going on and on about how he didn't know what he was going to do because there was a Guinness shortage. So there was a Guinness beer shortage in Texas at the time. And I was looking at him and I was so annoyed. And I think I had this blank stare. And he's like, are you listening to me? Did you hear me? Like, there's no Guinness. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I listened to 5 stories of rape and abuse today. But go ahead. Tell me about how your beer is running out. That was mean. Like, I was a total bitch in that moment. I should not have acted that way. But I was so burnt out. It was during COVID and people were processing a lot of hard things that they kept in for a long time. I knew that that wasn't the usual me reaction. So I took a step back and kind of realized what I needed to do for myself to get better and have more empathy. And yes, the Guinness came back and we have Guinness now. So I want you to ask yourself, what do you feel when you start getting very stressed? What's something that you do? Do you feel it in your body? Is it thoughts that start to replay in your mind? Is it something you do to others? How does your body let you know that you need a break? Maybe you constantly feel fatigued after anything. You might not even be that tired. You might be getting adequate sleep but still feel tired. Maybe it's tension in your shoulders. Maybe it's headaches. Maybe it's gastrointestinal. It could be a lot of different things, but everybody needs to recognize what theirs is. Also, what are some of the things that you start doing that might be an unhealthy coping skill? So I know a lot of the overachieving shit shows that I've talked to will say that they realize that they will just drown themselves in work when something bad is going on in their life because they don't want to stop and process all the things that are going on. I know that when I was studying in my doctoral program, we had a stress management class. And one of the proudest moments I had was in this class, we all had to do a relaxation technique for the rest of the class. And I put the whole class to sleep. Like I thought I did such a good job of this relaxation protocol that most of them either looked asleep or fell asleep, except for one person. And she was just the whole time with her eyes wide open staring at me. And I said, hey, like after class, I said, hey, like I thought I did really well, but then I saw you just staring at me. Like, did I suck? Was my voice annoying? Like, what was it? And she told me, I'm not ready to feel all the stress. I'm not ready to relax because then I have to process all the stuff that I've been putting off. And that always stuck with me because I have a lot of clients who do feel that. And I think that overachievers often will drown themselves in work because if they stop, then they have to start thinking about some of these other things outside of work, outside of their to-do list that they're just not ready for. Also, some people will just turn to substances. I know a lot of high achievers that depend on whether it's alcohol or different substances to help them. If you start realizing your intake is a lot more than usual, maybe that's a sign. So I just want listeners to reflect on what is your check engine light? How do you know that you're starting to get ill and that something needs to happen? That a change needs to happen. And so there's going to be a lot of different ways that you will be able to identify these things. One of the examples I like to use for the women out there is a purse, right? So in our purse, some of us have big ass purses. Some of us have little teeny purses. But I want you to think of it like you have this big purse and you have all these things in there that you think you need to carry. You think you should have all the time. But in reality, there's a lot of stuff that we do not need every day. So you think about it as emptying out your purse, getting rid of all the shit that you don't need at all. Maybe you find somewhere else you can put a lot of the other things that maybe you can get back to later. Maybe you don't need every single day. Maybe they're just kind of weighing you down, but you can put them down and get back to them later. And what are the essentials? What are the things that you absolutely have to have in there? And those are the things in your life that you need to prioritize. So there are things that we all want to prioritize, that we all need to carry around with us every day. And there's stuff that we could put down and get to later. And there's a lot of other stuff that we can throw in the trash. So some of those things would be what other people think about us. Maybe it's a board that you're on that you don't really want to be on, that you don't need. Maybe it's a friendship that you can put down for a little bit because they're exhausting you, or it's just getting in a toxic place. So we all need to figure out what those are, because my essentials are not going to be the same as your essentials. And that is another thing I'm going to want to talk to the different people that are guests about. So another shift and another thing to identify are the underwhelming tasks. So I want to figure out what's a way that you can relax on cue, right? So something that you can do. Maybe it's something where you just take a step back and do some deep breathing. Maybe it's a way that you can do a hobby. It's something that makes you feel like you can relax no matter what. You can stop and do this. For instance, I do paint by numbers. These are actually my paint by numbers behind me. And when I do those, I really do feel relaxed. I'll play music or training in the background because I am an overachieving shit show. So I will multitask. I will be relaxing and listening to a training online. I know it kind of defeats the purpose, but it is relaxing to me because I'm a nerd. So that works. Also, another thing is to emphasize that self-care is a habit. It's a priority. What it is not is a reward. So a lot of people will say, I'll relax when I finish blah, 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 blah. No, that's not how it goes. You need to relax. You need to take care of yourself. You need to create these habits so you can be successful. So you need to put self-care as a priority, not a reward. So I just really want to reiterate that if any of this is hitting home, you're not alone. There's a lot of us that are out there. You might see people on social media or on the news that really seem like they have their shit together, but in reality, they might feel like this painting behind me where it's a woman that's starting to drown and then finally gets her breath, like gets up, and that might be when she's taking that breath above the water, she feels okay, but then like a whack-a-mole, somebody knocks her back down. You know, we need to figure out how we can float. We need to figure out how we can stay above water. And there are a lot of us, I promise you. So these achievements, these things that we make, they often are just masking some deep-seated anxiety, grief, self-esteem, self-concept issues. It can be masking a lot of things about us and you don't realize it. I told one of my friends one day, a while back, I said, I wish I was like you. She's like, looked at me really confused, like, what do you mean? And I said, you just always have your makeup done, your hair always looks perfect, you smell good, you're dressed pretty. I'm lucky if I have one or two of those things together every day. She looked at me and said, that's the only thing I have together. I know if I get dressed and put all these things together, that's at least one thing I controlled that day. And I use that example often because I think many of us can relate to that. So I want to leave you with the thought, what is your unique check engine light? Or what do you need to carry around with you? What are your essentials? And if you have any great examples or things, please feel free to send me a message. You can find me at overachievingshitshow@gmail.com. And also be prepared that these coming weeks we will have a new studio where we can also have live guests. And so if you know somebody who epitomizes overachieving shit show and would be willing to talk about the struggle, I want to know the shit show behind the highlight reel. So the success on paper, but chaos inside. Please, I'm open to ideas and I'm open to meeting new people who are ready to talk about all these things. And remember, stress is not a reward. It is a prerequisite. Thank you so much.